I'm only 74. I feel like I'm just getting started in life. I still see another 100, 200, 300 years, whatever. You can't offer me $1 billion to eat a plate of cooked food, even if it's vegan. Once I go back to training, it's over. What I'll be able to demonstrate then, it will be so off the hook, so staggeringly amazing. When I woke up from the near-death experience I had 53 years ago, I was 21. But at that time, I had severe acne. I had a big tumor behind my head. I had chronic asthma.
What do you think most people who try the raw vegan path are missing? Today, I'm speaking with Lou Corona. He's 74 years young and has been living off raw living foods only for the past 53 years. I can confidently say he's one of the most impressive human beings I've ever seen, and this conversation will absolutely blow your mind. Welcome to The Light Leaders, a podcast for those who came here to raise the consciousness of our planet and co-create the new Earth. If you're watching this, chances are you're part of the team. One of the most important things we, Light Leaders, can do to fulfill our mission is to reclaim our attention from the algorithms, the clickbait, and the endless distractions, to reclaim our ability to be present, focused, and intentional. So here's my invitation to you. Slow down. Take a breath. Be here. Set the intention to watch this episode all the way through so you can truly go deep with us. Thank you for your presence and enjoy the episode. Hi, welcome to this new and very exceptional episode of The Light Leaders. Today I'm with Lou Corona. You might not believe it, but he's 74, I believe 53 years on raw foods. And I'm personally very grateful to have you because you've also been such an inspiration for me on my own raw food journey. We're going to dive into all of this, and we're going to talk about the different ways to eat living foods, have more fruit or not, more fat or not, talk about the impact of consciousness also on our health. And really, this is also going to be for the viewer about how you can thrive as you age, like you've been doing, Lou, and sharing some recipes. So super excited for myself and for you, the viewer. And Lou, I'm going to start with a simple question, which is, what are you grateful for today?
Well, I'm so grateful, honestly, for having blessed another day. And, I'm very grateful that somehow I feel that I've been so blessed in so many ways. But most importantly, grateful that we've been able to find a way to share this message and these teachings that was bestowed upon my heart 53 years ago. So I'm very grateful to be able to share my heart with you and the teachings that were passed on to me through a divine intervention that I had back then. So it completely transformed my life. It saved my life. So I've been having a great, thriving life ever since. So I'm so grateful, really. And but I'm more excited about others that may ever hear this conversation we're having, that they may be left inspired by it and motivated enough and educated enough to begin to start shifting into this consciousness and this way of living, because it's quite enormous what it's done for people across the board. I mean, I have traveled in many parts of the world, and it's been quite an amazing journey that I've had been able to experience. So I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, so I'm excited to do whatever I can to help and support you what you're doing too. So yeah.
Thank you, Lou. Yeah, and my pleasure. And we're together on that mission, I guess, to, however you call it, raising the consciousness of our planet or creating that more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible. And of course, there's many layers to it, but I believe nutrition, what we put in our body, is going to have definitely an impact on that. But in our conversation today, we'll also go beyond. We'll touch a lot on nutrition, but we'll also go beyond that. But starting with the nutrition, and we'll go into your backstory a little bit after. But simply, what did you eat yesterday?
Let's see. Well, I woke up in the morning and I had a glass of this pure alkaline structured energized water. I drank a glass of that. I like to put a little squirt of lime or lemon in it before I drink it. I enjoy that. But after, I enjoyed a little bit later. I enjoyed this quart of lemon ginger blast. I call, and it's got lemon, apple, ginger, turmeric, habanero, cucumber, celery, parsley, cilantro, mint, black ale, dandelion green, and fennel. And it's a very, very powerful drink. And I've enjoyed it in the mornings for the last 53 years. So it helped me get well, but then it helped me stay well. So I just been making it, enjoying it, and it's just a very powerful drink. But sometime after that, I had when I got hungry later, I had a green smoothie with just a good chunk of that almond coconut yogurt that I make, and it had like berries, big handful of greens in there, and put a piece of pineapple in there, and yeah, so I had it made about a quart, and I had that, and I slammed some Livezyme. I call it Livezyme. It's a very powerful full spectrum superior multiple digestive enzyme I've been taking for about 50 years to help compensate for the enzyme deficiency in raw living food. I've been doing that for many years. But anyway, later, hours later, I had a Gorilla Milk. A Gorilla Milk, I drank about almost a quart of that. It was half of it is green juice and the other half is sprouted almond coconut milk. And it's really delicious. I really like it a lot. And then later for dinner, I had this beautiful hearty salad, and it had one of my favorite greens is arugula. So I had a bunch of microgreens and sprouts in there with arugula and a few other type of greens. And then let's see. I grated some roots in there, and I do like cucumber, so I put some cucumber in it, and then I made a dressing with the almond coconut yogurt. I make all kinds of different dressings. I made a curry dressing, so I put the dressing in there with diced up avocado. So it's a really hearty dressing, very very satiating, very satisfying. But yeah. And so that's what I had yesterday. And I drink water in between. I do drink a pure alkaline structured energized water that's hydrates me quite well. So outside of that, that's what I did. So anything else you need to know?
No, but that's cool. And I imagine that's obviously some like the kind of things that you've been eating on a regular basis and drinking over the past few years. So that gives us some elements too.
Yeah, well, I just remembered I did have some fruit. I do like watermelon and cherries and berries and mango and all kinds of different fruits. But I did have a bowl of some watermelon with a little lemon and cayenne to it in between.
Amazing. Yeah.
This is about a couple hours before dinner.
Thanks for sharing. And so, Lou, you're doing plant-based, what you call raw living foods. And for the people who have been following my journey through the Light Leaders, I've had a lot of who I would call the top experts in the world in that raw, let's call it raw vegan niche. So I've had Dr. Moss, I've had Doug Graham, 80-10-10. I've had I haven't had medical medium. I'd love to, but I follow also what he's doing. As interesting, like for me at the moment, I pick a bit elements of some of my mentors, including you, Lou. And what stands out with you, tell me if I'm correct, but I feel you're compared to a lot of these people. I don't know if you follow what they do, but often in the raw vegan movement is a lot of fruits and it's low on fat. So Doug Graham 80-10-10, 10% fat. You seem to eat more fat, right? And a little bit less fruit. Am I correct with that?
I do enjoy fruit. I'm not going to say it's 80% fruit, but but I enjoy fruit because I do put them in my smoothies. I do eat fruit here and there throughout the day, off and on, in between, and it could be maybe maybe 2.5, 3 hours later, even from dinner, I might have a little fruit, even sometimes then. But and any proteins, carbs, and fats that I have from nuts and seeds, I'm one who I soak them and I germinate them, and the ones that don't germinate, I culturize them and I turn them into yogurt. I use a very powerful probiotic called Life Biotic from Pyridine that turns it into yogurt. So it's pre-digested. So it's very enzyme activated. So it's not only enzyme activated, but it's pre-digested. So it's more bioavailable in that manner. So it's very easy to digest and very easy to absorb and metabolize and convert into energy and everything else. So it's allowed me to maintain not just good energy, but good strength and feel amazing. So I digest really well, assimilate, metabolize well, eliminate well, run pretty efficient. It's part of the key to health and longevity, as you might know. But I find that a lot of people are not doing that. They eat nut butters, they eat raw nuts and seeds, but they don't take the time to soak and germinate them or enzyme activate them or even culturize them. It's a missing piece that I find that, but I do appreciate when people across the board are going plant-based, but I appreciate it more if they do it raw living food, enzyme active. So fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh herbs. I mean, that's the way I do it, and I've been doing it like that. That's what I've been taught. The guy, when I woke up from the near-death experience I had 53 years ago, I was 21. But at that time, I had severe acne. I had a big tumor behind my head. I had chronic asthma. I was congested. I was going to the bathroom every 3 weeks. I had pain in my joints. I was in deep trouble. But when I had this near-death experience and I learned these 4 principles and I applied them, 6 months, everything was gone, never came back. That was 53 years ago. But when I woke up the next day, I did ask if I could have somebody to come into my life to mentor me and teach me how to apply these 4 principles on a deeper level. And I met a man right after that. It's been said that when a student's ready, the teacher appears. Well, he appeared. He really did in real life. And when I met him, I really, really thought he was about 32 when I met him, but he was 52. And this man had traveled the world for 30 years learning natural healing. And he studied people living 120 plus years. And he learned a great deal from these different people in different parts of the world. They lived out in the country. And they lived on fresh, raw, living foods and cultured foods and enzyme activated foods. So it's a really, also they did their occasional fastings like I've been doing for many years. So anyhow, when he took me under the wing and I learned how to change from tap water to pure alkaline structured energized water, natural spring water in many cases, it changed my life. I mean, and then I did fresh herbs, and all cut up in a big bowl for 2 months and water. That was my initiation to raw living foods. So, so when I ate all those fresh herbs and water for 2 months, wow, what an experience that was, I remember when I first started though, I told him that I didn't want to, I told him that these cut up herbs that were in this big bowl, I looked in there and I said, this is not for humans. This is for goats and giraffes and horses and cows. This is not for humans. And because I wasn't used to that, I was used to from a very conventional lifestyle. And he said, well, didn't you say you were willing to do whatever it took to cleanse, heal, regenerate yourself and to get well and get healthy and strong again? And I said, yes. And he goes, well, this is what you need to do then. So I took a bite and I just about gagged. It was so bitter and it tasted horrible at first. But I didn't know anything about taste buds back then, but my taste buds were way out of balance. I was so used to eating fast foods back then, But he told me that I was struggling to eat the herbs. So he said, I need to change my mind and my association with those herbs. And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, well, your new association is that these herbs are beautiful, they're powerful, and they're going to cleanse you, regenerate you, heal you, and restore you, and balance and harmonize every cell in your body. Every organ, every gland is going to make you so radiant, strong, and vibrant, and have abundance of energy and good strength. And so I took another bite with excitement, and it didn't taste as bad as the first one did. So it was a very humbling experience. But you know what? With just within a few days, I began to thrive on those herbs. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And I guess that's the motivation then to rewire our taste buds, because our taste buds change a lot. I mean, now I can eat, I don't know, I often have just good tomatoes. It's a meal. I don't need the salt. I don't need the oil. And people might find it weird, but yeah, things change. And but for you, you had the motivation. And I listened to your episode with Gillian Berry, and I love your backstory. And you had like all these problems, right? And so you had that motivation to change. Before we get into it, I wanted to ask you, what are the 4 principles? Because you talked about the 4 principles.
Well, when I went through that near-death experience, it was quite profound and life-changing. It transformed my whole life. But prior to this experience and prior to developing all these conditions that I had a lot of toxic thinking going on and toxic emotions. I had a lot of abuse in the past. So I didn't know how to process it really. And I didn't know how to restore myself from all that. So it affected me physically. So it's just not eating that affects our health, but it's also the way you're thinking and the emotional state that you walk in, right? And so when I had this experience and I was embraced by this bright light and I had prayed for guidance around it, I was instructed that and shown that we are these beautiful, brilliant, and genius creative beings, and that we have this inner potential to create infinite possibilities in His likeness. So, but I didn't know that before. But I was one of those ones that was able to pick up on that and also be able to acknowledge it and embrace it. And so from that point on, I was able to make a very powerful decision to cleanse, heal, regenerate, balance, harmonize every cell, every organ, every gland in my body, so I can be youthful and radiant and strong and vibrant with abundance of energy. And I was able to say that in Yeshua's name or Jesus' name per se. So, and you know what? That exactly what happened. My whole body just started cleansing, healing, regenerating itself. It took about 6 months in my case, but I was also instructed that I was to love and forgive and accept and have compassion for everyone, no matter wherever they abused me, hurt me, beat me, whatever they did, trespass against me in any way, shape, or form. That I was to love them and forgive them, and to be able to have compassion for them, and to understand that people that say these ugly things and do these ugly things to me, whatever they did in the past, well, that I was able to have compassion for them and to really understand that they themselves came from their own pain and suffering themselves. They, a lot of times hurt people. And
Mm.
so I was able to be shown these things and given some understanding around these things that it is best for us to have compassion for them and to understand that they really have been through their own neglect and rejection and abuse one way or the other, and a lot of pain and suffering themselves. And that's all they know. And so anyway, I began to learn to pray for them and have compassion for them. And that freed me. And no longer did I suffer with anger, resentment, and condemnation for those people. I began to change my whole way of thinking around it, and also my heart changed. And I began to really love these people.
Yeah, I
And
love
that
that you
started
put it
healing.
this way. Yeah, because often also when I speak to people in the raw living food, raw vegan community, sometimes, and I feel that nutrition is so important, but sometimes I feel we can overlook the aspects of our consciousness that influence our health. I was watching a documentary on the blue zones, and they talk about the food, of course, but they talk about movement, and they talk about being in community and feeling gratitude and all these things that are really important also for people's health and longevity beyond just the food. And yeah, so I love that you have that approach. Actually, I'd love to ask you, it's a hard question, but how much do you feel nutrition accounts for longevity versus those more love, community, and mind factors?
Well, it's not about which one's better or which one outweighs one. It's more like I kind of look at it kind of like the table has four legs, and so each leg supports the table. So if you stand on the table, if you stand on top of the table, and all four legs are on the table underneath, it supports the table and makes it sturdy and strong and stable, right?
Let's have a quick break from the episode, as there is something I want to share with you. Thank you for still being here. It tells me you're someone who values a deep and insightful conversation. And that's my kind of people. In our world of ever-increasing distractions and clickbaits, it's important to share these long-form, deep conversations. And that's why I love podcasts. They've been a big part of my own spiritual awakening 8 years ago. And having my own podcast has expanded my life in so many ways. It allowed me to speak with my heroes and learn from them, to share my voice online and build a personal brand. And now I've become passionate about helping other conscious leaders also grow a high-impact podcast so we can flood the internet with insightful and meaningful content that helps us create that more conscious and beautiful world our hearts know is possible. If you feel the call to have your own podcast too, I can highly recommend it. And I'd love to help you. I created a community of impact-driven podcasters. And I also work one-on-one with leaders of the new earth to help them scale their impact with a podcast. Check out the links in the description if you want to learn more. And now, let's resume the episode.
But if you take one of the legs out, then all of a sudden you're trying to compensate for. You know what I mean? Your body starts compensating for that missing leg under the table, and you can still balance and you can still fight against it and still stay on top of the table, but it's a lot harder. But if you take another leg out, then you can still do it. You can still stay on top of the table, but it's harder to balance yourself and stay on top of the table and keep upright. So that's why I encourage that we invite ourselves to take a look at our life from a holistic approach. So in other words, we look at our spiritual side, we look at our mental side, our emotional side, and then also the physical side, right? So
Are
they all
these the
play.
4 principles then? the
Well,
spiritual, emotional,
if
mental,
I was
physical.
if I was going to give you the four principles in a nutshell, I like to call the first one cellular communication, because we're made up of over 35 trillion cells that make up the body, right? So if you think of yourself like a tower, like a cellular tower, right? So if you could just imagine this, a cellular tower can communicate to millions and millions of cell phones and users, right? So if you imagine yourself like a tower, so every thought that you have, imagine that every thought that you have, that every cell is picking up on what you're thinking, or even saying for that matter. It's the same thing with emotions. Every cell is picking up on what you're feeling. And so if you have, if you're thinking positive, constructive, creative thoughts, every cell is picking up on that. And they're in harmony, they're happy, they're positive, right? And they're supporting everything that you're thinking about. And they're becoming that what you think, and they are what you think. But at the same time, emotionally wise, so when you're feeling happy and excited and grateful, and have this peaceful, harmonious side of you going on, every cell in your body is also picking up on that too, and they love it, and they're happy, and they're doing well, and but the thing is, but if you have toxic thinking going on, and you're thinking like you're not good enough, or you don't matter, or you don't belong, well, then every cell's picking up on that too, and they start degenerating, they start falling apart, they start supporting what you're thinking. This emotional wise, if you're feeling sad and unhappy and angry and what have you, then every cell picks up on that too, and they get distorted. So we have this thing that our cells are constantly being picked up on from a cellular perspective. So how you communicate spiritually or mentally or emotionally or even physically, for that matter, can make or break you. It really can, because I've experienced it. I was right there. So that's why I'm so aware of it, because I was right in. I had a very deep personal experience with it, and I've also had a very deep experience with many other people, working them through this process. You know what I mean? And it's been very successful, and it's been amazing. But again, so when the body says it's thirsty, give it some clean water. It didn't say Kool-Aid and soda pop and wine and beer and liquor. You know what I mean? It just says it wants some water. So if we're listening to the body and knowing how to listen to the body and read the body, like when it says it's hungry and it wants something sweet, give it a piece of fruit, right? But sometimes the body wants something like savory or something more on the bitter side. And there's times that my body wants that. And I'll eat greens, that are more on the bitter side, and my body wants it. It thrives on it. But when my body wants something sweet, I'll have a piece of fruit. But see, before I used to eat pastries and candy bars and, the milkshakes and all these ice cream and all these different things that I used to do before. I didn't know any better. I didn't know how to listen to the body or how to communicate with the body. But when we learn how to listen to God, because sometimes He speaks to us. Some of us are able to listen and abide, and then some of us are not. One of my greater examples was I was driving a motorcycle when I was 16, and I was actually shown this accident before it even happened. I was given a premonition. I saw the whole thing before it even happened, before I even got into the intersection where it happened. And I was even told what to do to prevent it, but I didn't listen. And I kept going. And sure enough, I ended up in this accident. I got shot 60 feet in the air. My leg was crushed in the accident. And when I woke up from the accident, I remembered this experience. And I realized in that moment that that was God's way of showing me the accident before it happened, to warn me and to prepare me, and also and guide me what to do to prevent it. But I didn't listen. So I quickly apologized to God for not listening and not recognizing it. but not listening, not doing what he said. And I got cracked up. I got crushed. I almost got killed in the accident. But I apologized and I asked him for forgiveness. And I asked him to heal my body and make me whole and complete. This much bone in my leg was it crushed, exploded in tiny little pieces. And anyway, it got all healed up in 3 weeks, like brand new. And the doctor said that was a miraculous healing. He's never seen it. He said, somebody's watching out for you. And I'm just saying, that all I said was, Heavenly Father, please heal my body, make me whole and complete in Jesus' name, like my mama taught me. And you know what? I was all healed, like brand new. He forgave me for not listening, but I promised him that next time he talks to me, I'm in. I'm going to do whatever he says. And so when I had this, all this sickness and diseases going on when I was 21, I did open up and I did pray for guidance. I wanted to know what was causing my issues, solutions, and how to live from now on. So when I was told to live this way and follow these 4 principles, and I did, 6 months, everything dissolved and goes away, never comes back in 53 years. And everybody that does it, they all get well too. So that actually does it. I mean, for real, where they actually take massive responsibility, be very intentional, and going in knowing that God can actually heal us. He's the greatest physician there is. And trust in God and trust in nature and know that you can heal. You can cleanse, heal, regenerate yourself. You can. Open yourself to that possibility because we can create all kinds of enormous possibilities. So as soon as I made that decision, and I encourage everybody, whoever listens to this conversation, that if you want to live and live well, and you want to make a clad iron decision for yourself to cleanse, heal, regenerate, balance, and harmonize every cell, every organ, every gland inside your body to leave you youthful, radiant, strong, and vibrant with abundance of energy. And I say it in Jesus' name, Yeshua's name, then have at it. It's going to happen for you. And you'll be given the courage, you'll be given the knowledge, you'll be given whatever you need to be able to have the fortitude and the ability to do whatever you need to do to make that happen. So if you're guided to drink some good water, maybe enjoy some fruits, some herbs, maybe know how to soak and germinate your seeds, learn how to fast and pray and how to do breath work and hot cold applications and enjoy some rebounding. The 4 principles, when you talk about the 4 principles, the first one is the most powerful one. This is where you can reinvent, redesign your whole life, recreate it. You can. It's possible. But you need to understand that and know that you can. And I'm here to say that you can, because you can.
Can you name the 4 principles?
So the first one is called cellular communication. The second was called cellular environment. That's where you embrace the sun, enjoy breathing some good, clean air, preferably, and learn to breathe slow and deep, rhythmically. Learn to be a conscious breather. Drink some clean, pure alkaline structural energized water. Learn how to ground yourself on the earth. Learn how to touch that earth with your feet, your hands, your body, whatever, and get grounded. We're not grounding ourselves. We're so insulated from the earth more and more every day, and we're not being properly grounded. I mean, we are these electrical magnetic beings, and we need to be grounded. If you want your light bulb to turn on in your house, you need to have the ground hooked up for that light to turn on. You understand? We're like that. We need to be grounded. So the third principle is cellular exercise. So you got 2 forms of exercise. You got external and you got internal. A lot of people do the external where they go to the gym and work out. And I haven't worked out for 55 years since high school. Doesn't mean I don't want to. I just haven't made time for it. But what I make time for is the cellular type of exercise, because that's the one that really counts. That's the one that has more priority. Cellular exercise means that every cell simultaneously is being exercised. And how you do that, you can do it through breath work, you can do it through body work, you can do it through rebounding, you can run up and down stairs for 20, 30 minutes a day. That will help stimulate your lymphatic system. You can dance vigorously for 20, 30 minutes a day. That will help stimulate your lymphatic system. You can hike up a mountain and down. That will stimulate your lymphatic system. You can do hot cold applications, things like that. But most people are not doing that, And the 4th principle is, I call it cellular food, cellular nutrition. How do you feed your body? How do you feed your body from a cellular perspective? Every cell. So let me just say it this way. If you put a dead animal in your body, that does not feed every cell in your body when you do it that way. If you eat cooked food, dead food that's been destroyed, altered from its natural state, if you take food, even if it's plant-based, and cook it and destroy the life force in that food and then eat it, oh yeah, that's not going to feed you in a cellular perspective. That's not cellular food. That is dead food, cooked food, enzyme deactivated food. It's very hard, much harder to digest it. It's hard to digest animal protein for one, but it's also hard to digest cooked food also. So when you take something dead and put in your body, even plant-based or animal-based, however, when it goes inside your body has to use more of its own life force, its own enzyme activity, pancreatic digestive enzymes, to digest that food more than you remanufacture in the body. And it will cause you to deplete your enzyme potential. Your life force drops. It takes a hit every time you do it. So if you really want to have, let's just say you want to get the most nutritional value from your food, you want to digest it at best and absorb it at best, metabolize it and eliminate and run more efficient, then you're going to learn how to do raw living food, plant-based, organic, raw living food. You're going to eat fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh herbs. You're going to take all the seasoned nuts and seeds that you ever consume. You're going to learn how to soak them, germinate them. And if they don't germinate, if you activate them, enzyme activate them by culturizing. I use a very powerful probiotic from Paradigm that we created. And Life Biotic is a very powerful probiotic. It's got 5 bacterial strains in it. It's a highly proteolytic probiotic. So when you take a teaspoon of that probiotic in the blender with some seeds that have been pre-soaked the night before, blend it up into a cream, let it sit for about 4 or 5 hours, it turns into yogurt. But when it turns into yogurt, that means it's enzyme activated at that point. That means that it's pre-digested. So all nuts and seeds have proteins, carbs, and fats in them at different ratios. So if you can soak and germinate them, or at least culturize them, those friendly bacteria will gobble up the proteins, carbs, and fats and produce enzymes, breaking down the proteins into amino acids, fats into fatty acids, carbohydrates into glucose, making it easy to digest, easy to absorb and metabolize and convert into energy. And it starts helping to establish, maintain good friendly bacteria in your gut, so you have good, healthy intestinal flora, strong immune system, and you digest good, absorb good, metabolize good, and eliminate good. But that's the thing. So what's really amazing about it is it actually allows you to manufacture strong, lean muscle, hair, skin, bones, make more enzymes, hormones in your body, maintain what they call cellular integrity. That's why I can hike those mountains and swim across lakes. That's why I can do planks and Superman push-ups and leg lifts and a bunch of different things I can do. But I'm telling you, once I create this course that I'm working on in the future and put that together so it's available to the world, I'm going back to training. And when I go back to training, all I can say for right now, and I'm saying this ahead of time, I'm saying it's over once I do that. Once I go back to training, it's over. You know what I mean by that? Do you have any idea what I mean by that? I mean, when I say it's over, that means that what I'll be able to demonstrate then, it will be so off the hook, so staggeringly amazing, crazy amazing.
Like the debate is over. That's what you mean. No one's gonna be skeptical anymore.
Yeah, that's right. It's gonna make it like a no-brainer. It's gonna make it so undeniable that it's like, forget about it. It's over. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, because I'm speaking out of pure conviction here, because I've been living this lifestyle for 53 years. So at 74, feeling the way I feel, and it's staggering. It's like an amazing phenomena, but it's not. It's a natural way of us living like this. We're supposed to be healthy and youthful and strong and vibrant. We're supposed to be like this naturally at this age anyway. So
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really love the example that you're setting and the role model, and that's why I'm so excited to have you. And we can dive a bit into the nutrition And it's interesting what you say with performance. I'm all for seeing more performance on people who eat raw living food, because that's often a question when I question it, because I like to have a skeptical mind on things. And it's like, well, why don't most of the top athletes eat a raw living food diet, right? So the more we have athletes that top performers that eat a raw living food diet, or people who exceed in longevity like you're doing, or put this all together, well, the more it's going to be hard to doubt that this is the way to go. And I've had a lot of top experts in my podcast, but I think you're the one that has the best results, to be honest. Because for example, like, I absolutely love a lot of the people I've had, like Doug Graham or Lauren Lockman or Dr. Moss, but the results that they show on them, and doesn't mean they don't have the best advice, because there can be so many factors in one's life that impact how they are. But the way you show up at 74 and the things that you can do, like, I can't do the plank you do, and I'm not ridiculously weak. And 7 minutes, yeah, that's like mind blowing. So I think, yes, I would love to see more of the raw living foodists and the raw vegan set even more those examples. I know Doug Graham's doing it a bit with the also he's doing it with the powerlifting also. So it's good to see these examples. But I see what you mean, and I think it's really important to have those role models. If you want to add something do you want to add something on that, or because I have a follow-up question?
Well, my last mentor was about 28 years ago. And when I met him, I thought he was about 42 and he was 75. And he did some things in front of me that was way beyond what most people on the planet could even do. And one of the things he did was he hung off a pipe, just a straight hang off a pipe for an hour. And so he came down gracefully. Wow. And he made it look effortless. So then he had me hang on the pipe. So then I'm hanging. 1 minute later, I'm struggling. 2 minutes later, I'm really struggling. And 3 minutes later, I fell off the pipe. 3 minutes. The first time I did it. That's
pretty good already, yeah.
Well, I mean, it took a lot for me to just do 3 minutes the first time, but I was very humbled. He just did an hour. So I'm kind of going, how is this possible that he did an hour? I can only do 3 minutes. He's 75. At that time, I was 45. So there would have been what? How many years would that be? If I was 45 at the time. So 55, 65, 75. Well,
and that's what I'm thinking when I see you plank for 7 minutes on, like, levitating on your hands.
Yeah. So when he did the plank, he did that 30 minutes. And my first time I did that with him, it was about 3 minutes the first time. But within 10 days of being with him, I was up to 7 minutes. That's why I say it's my record. But I want to get to 30 minutes by the time I'm 75, which I only have a year left, so I got to move on. I got to get with it, I want to get with it. So, but it's just amazing and I asked this man that I'm telling you about, I thought he was 42, but he was stronger than any man I've ever met. He goes beyond any person I ever met on the planet. I've met a lot of people, I've met a lot of people, but who hangs off a pipe for an hour? Who does a plank like that for 30 minutes? It's just completely unusual. You know what a horse stance is? You stand up, you spread your legs a little bit, and you squat down and pretend like you're sitting in a chair, but there's no chair. Your back is straight. Your legs are all bent down, and you're holding position, but there's no chair underneath you. But it looks like you're sitting in a chair, but there's no chair. And anyway,
I've done that for 10 minutes in a qigong class, and it was pretty intense.
Yeah. So he did that for an hour for me, and that was beyond anything I've ever seen. So he had me do it. The first time I did it was 5 minutes. The first time, and 5 minutes later, I fell on my face. I fell down, and so I realized, wow, that was like one of the hardest things I ever did. he did it for like an hour. It's like, how do you do that? And so in his case, he spent 10 days with me, and within 10 days, I was up to 30 minutes, and later up to an hour later on. So I asked him what the secret was, and he's now mind you, this man has been living on plant-based, organic, raw living foods for umpteen years, way longer than me. But his strength and his energy and his cellular integrity was over the top, beyond anything I've ever seen. So, but I did ask him what the secret was, and this is besides his physical health. I mean, his physical health and running clean and efficient was pretty profound. But he said his real secret was that he was very, very, very connected with breath. He does a lot of breath work, and he says that he's developed a very strong, intimate relationship with Yeshua, which everybody may know him as Jesus in Hebrew, right? But in the Hebrew language, it's Yeshua, right? And he says that he has this intimate relationship with him to the point where he's so connected that he can, when he decides to do something like hang up a pipe or do a horse dance or heal somebody or hike a mountain or whatever it is, he's got this enormous, like almost like a endless energy, endless strength and endurance that it's unusual. And he says that anything's possible through Yeshua. He said that's his secret. So when I was praying for guidance and for healing, I said it through his name, and then I was given all this knowledge, and then I applied it, and then I got healed. I mean, what an amazing phenomenon, right?
Wow, beautiful. And yeah, I mean, there's so many things that come here in the picture. Actually, as your do you consider yourself a Christian, or do you feel it's more a direct relationship with Yeshua?
Hey, that's like asking me the question, are you a raw foodist, Lou? If you ask me that question, I'm going, no, I'm not a raw foodist. Do I live on plant-based, organic, raw living foods, cultured foods, enzyme-activated food? Is that what I feed my body? I can say yes to that. But I don't label myself like I'm a raw foodist or I'm a vegetarian or a vegan. I don't do any of that. But do I consume plant-based, organic, raw living foods, fresh fruits and fresh vegetables and what have you? That's the lifestyle that I have. Do I pray to God and give him a special thank you every day? Do I express my love, that I love him and I care for him and I adore him and I praise him and with all my heart, mind, and soul? Yeah, I do that. When I pray my lemon ginger blast before I drink it, I give a special thank you for that drink. Do I give a special thank you for that wonderful drink that I prepared? And I ask God to bless it, that it will cleanse, heal, regenerate, balance, harmonize every cell in my body, and leave me youthful, radiant, strong, and vibrant with abundance of energy. Make me whole and complete in His likeness.
We know that
in Yeshua's name.
The structure.
Do I do that? Yeah, I can say I do that. But I'm not going to go out there and try to tell you that I'm perfect or all that. We're all beautiful, brilliant, and creative beings. But right now, we're still on Earth, and we're still on this planet, and we're so-called humans. So I do my best to be the best I can each day. You know what I mean? And I try to be as intentional as I can be, as responsible as I can be, to think positive, to think creative and constructive thoughts inside me. And if I have a stinking toxic thought that comes in my mind, I quickly rebuke it and replace it with a positive one at my best. I do my best to do that. Back in the day, I used to use words that were not so kind and loving and caring, and I learned to replace them with better words that were more loving and more supportive and show some form of understanding or compassion for others. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's beautiful, Lou. And I love also, please finish.
It's not about labeling each other, but it's more about what we're doing, what we're being. So if you're asking me, do you enjoy being a loving, caring, compassionate person? Do you enjoy being happy and positive and uplifting and enjoy a peaceful, harmonious, joyous life and a prosperous life? Yes. Like I can say yes to that. You know what I mean? So, but just know that everything I'm saying is out of love for you and everyone that's listening to this recording, that they might learn from it and grow from it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Lou. And it's interesting what you shared about like being on Earth and playing that game in a way. And it is for me, it's an interesting thing that on one hand, I don't know if you'd agree with. I guess you'd agree with that. But we come from consciousness, right? And then consciousness creates that world and the physical, and that ultimately, kind of everything is possible. That's how with prayer, with meditation, we can heal a lot and transcend a lot of the physical, which Yeshua was doing also a lot through his lifetime. And at the same time, I feel like when we came here, we agreed to a certain density that we play with, and we agreed to certain rules of the physical that seem that we have to kind of obey by, but at the same time can transcend in a way. So I feel that's where I feel it's so important what you do, which is combining some of that aspect of playing with pure consciousness and not being limited by the physical, and at the same time also playing with the physical, where we feel is the best diet and the best nutrition, and combining these two together. And Lou, I want to ask you, how long do you think you can stay on this planet Earth in this human body?
That's a very great, powerful question. And thank you for asking that question. You know, when I was 16, after my leg got healed up miraculously, I was so grateful. But after that, I started having a dream every night for a year. I had the same dream every night for a year. It was an incredible dream. I didn't tell anybody about it because it was a little weird at the time.
Let's have a quick break from the episode, as there's something I want to share with you. Thank you for watching this far. I'm assuming you're enjoying this episode. So let's connect. I'm building this podcast not just as content, but as a community of light leaders on a mission. So drop a comment under the video. I read and reply to all of them. Pause the video now and share with us. What have you learned so far? Do you have questions or feedback? I also have a Telegram group to stay connected, whatever happens with YouTube and the algorithm. Come and say hi. I put the link in the description. Also, if you want to support this podcast and help it grow, there are a few things you can do. You can hit the like button. You can share this episode with your friends directly to help spread the message from human to human, regardless of the algorithm. Or you can take a screenshot and post it in your Instagram stories. And if you tag me at Alexi Lember, I'll repost it too. Also, subscribe to the channel. And more importantly, hit the notification bell, because if you just subscribe without the notification bell, you let the algorithm dictate whether or not you get shown my videos. So thanks again for supporting and joining the movement. Let's keep co-creating the new us together. And now, enjoy the rest of this episode.
But I had a dream where I saw 7 healing centers, wellness centers, whatever. They were out in the country, and they had their own gardens, orchards, facility. These beautiful, radiant people were inside there. The people came from all over the world to these places to be healed. And I was part of it. And there was other people part of it. But I saw them. And I saw it every night for a year. So that every day I kept wondering, why am I having the same dream over and over and over? It took me a year to come to this conclusion that was God's way of showing me a projection of my future, where he sees me going and doing in my future of my life. So when I was about 17, I made a vow that that's what I would do with my life, is to create 7 healing centers into the future when the time's right. With his help, of course. And at the time, I knew nothing about health, about healing, about anything. I was just a young guy going through high school. I didn't know any better. And I was still eating very conventional lifestyle, right? But I made that vow. And I had no clue like what all it entailed at all. But when I was 21, I was in the Air Force, and I came down with this, digestive issues and severe acne and allergies and tumor and asthma and all that. Well, I said, like, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't take drugs, I'm a good person. Why am I suffering? I had this insight that we were created by God with an intention to be healthy and happy and have a beautiful, quality, everlasting life and prosper and multiply. But that wasn't happening with me anymore anyway. So I actually asked, what was causing my issues? Like, what am I doing to lead me to this? And I wanted to know solutions, what I could do about it and how to live from now on. So when I was in that moment in the hospital waiting for my medication that I had to take because I couldn't breathe without it, I felt his presence, and he told me to walk away from the hospital. So I did. And I went to sleep that night, and I woke up with a chronic asthma attack, and I was suffocating real bad. I thought I was going to die any second. And I said, Father, either take me or show me. But if you decide to keep me here and guide me, show me, and get me through this night and show me how to get well and stay well and everything, and have a good life, then I will go on to fulfill my purpose here that I promised. And whatever knowledge and whatever experience I have through all this, I would pass it forward into the future, all over the world one day when the time's right. So, well, in that moment, I had this like a warm tingling sensation run through my body, and all my suffocating went away. And I had a total reflection of my whole life. And I was covered by this bright light, and I was given instructions, what to do, how to live, and how to be and everything. And then I woke up the next day, and I asked to meet someone that could help me with all this. And I met that guy I told you about. And, nobody knows him. He just lived off the land with his wife and 2 kids, but he had traveled extensively and had learned a great deal. He knew a lot about fasting, about colonics, about body work. He knew about, how to culture foods and, fresh living foods and all these different things. But 6 months, everything went away, never came back. And I've been well ever since. So when you ask that question, I'm only 74. I feel like I'm just getting started in life. So like right now, I still see another 100, 200, 300 years, whatever. We got 7 healing centers put together. If I'm destined to have a family and children and all that, well, I'll do that later. Right now, I've got other things to do. You know what I mean? I'm busy. I got people. I got phone calls coming out of my ears. People calling, asking for help, asking for like, how do I cleanse, heal, regenerate myself like you did? I want to know. And I'm ready to learn, and I'm ready to do whatever it takes. I want to spend a little time with you and really learn in depth how to really cleanse, heal, regenerate myself. I'm still doing it for now, but not for much longer. Once I get that course put together, I'll be working on something else, like healing centers, But anyway, so you asked me a question like that. So whether I live another 100, 200, 300 years or indefinitely, so be it. I'm so purpose driven, and I choose to live fully and completely and take it to the wire. So whether I live another 100, 200, 500, 1,000 years or indefinitely, so be it. But I know one thing for sure, that I will do everything in my power to constantly do everything I can to create the awareness, to do everything I can to inspire, motivate, educate others with this message, that they too may catch on to it and learn how to cleanse and regenerate themselves and have an incredible, awesome, amazing, wonderful, prosperous, vibrant life with abundance of energy and feel great. Never get sick again. How about that? That's what I'm
I
after.
love that.
So that's why I'm doing. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing,
I
because
love
I
that, Lou.
love.
And yeah,
I
please
love and
finish.
appreciate. Yeah, because we really are one. We really are. We all come from the same source. We're all made up of the same stuff. You know what I mean? And so we're all like connected one way or the other with each other. That's why I offer to give you some support in this way, to help and support you and what you're doing, and
Mm.
hopefully to inspire and motivate others, that they might catch on to the beauty and the power behind this, so they can have a great life. We deserve to have a great, wonderful, healthy, vibrant life. That's the way it was intended right from the beginning.
I love that, Lou, and thank you so much for your commitment to it too, like the way you show up and you full on with it. And yeah, it's definitely inspiring for me. It's inspiring for the people who are watching. By the way, if you're on YouTube watching this, drop in the comments if you have like feedback, comments, anything you want to react on, because I think it's we're all very grateful that you take the time to be here and give for free the knowledge to people. I think we can all be very grateful for that. And I love your commitment, because it does take commitment. Even me, I'm doing mainly raw, but I'm not fully raw, especially now when I'm in Europe. I was in Norway. It takes commitment to do things like this, and we have to, and I think for you, the fact that you got that sickness when you were 21 and that near-death experience, and then all the downloads you get from the divine make that you're so like unwavering on your mission, and that's powerful and inspiring. So I wanted to share that first, and then I also wanted to get again practical on the nutrition and ask you something. I'll give you a bit of context, which is I live in Ubud in Bali, which is quite a spiritual hub where a lot of people are on spiritual quest, and as part of it also want to be into health and well-being. And actually, most of the spots in Ubud, many of them are vegan restaurants. It's very common there to be plant-based, much more than in the rest of the world, the old matrix, as some people like to call it. But even there, I see a lot of people who love the idea of being especially raw vegan or high raw and at least plant-based, but it doesn't seem to work for them. And I'd like to ask you, what do you think most people who try the raw vegan path are missing?
That's another very powerful question. And once again, well, it's interesting. I had a guy that came to me. He was 100 pounds. Now, normally for his height, he'd be like 180. He's a tall guy. Like me, I'm only 5'9", 160, lean, wiry kind of guy, strong. But normally he'd be 180, but he used to be 280 before. He was 100 pounds overweight. So he got really sick. And then he heard that if he went plant-based, he could get his health back. So he cut out the animal protein, dairy products, and he started getting better. He went down to, and all he ate was fruits and vegetables. So he went down to 180, 150, 100 pounds 5 years later. So when I met him 5 years later, he was 100 pounds, and he was a tall guy. So he was like really pretty scrawny and weak. He wasn't muscular or strong at all, but he was, very tall guy and 100 pounds. And I asked him the question, do you consume any nuts or seeds? And he goes, no. If I eat them, when I eat them raw, I get sick, so I can't eat them. But I can eat fruits and vegetables, but that's all. And I said, well, so we got together, and we did some live blood analysis to see if he had any deficiencies, and he did. So we took care of the deficiencies, and I showed him how to take nuts and seeds and how to soak them, how to germinate them, and also how to make yogurt out of nuts and seeds. And I showed him the 4 principles, how to think more powerfully, get clear and complete with past issues, reinvent himself, and how to drink a clean water, and how to do the breath work, and how to stimulate his lymphatic system by doing cellular type exercising and all that. And he was already doing raw living food, but we did it a little differently by adding the nuts and seeds, but soaked and germinated, enzyme activated, and cultured foods as well. And a year later, 180. Muscular, strong, healthy, feeling great. I had another lady that was 100. She was 12 years as a raw vegan, and she ate raw fruits and vegetables, raw nuts and seeds, 12 years like that. When she first started, she was 100 pounds overweight. She was told that if she went plant-based vegan, raw, that she would get rid of the excess weight. Well, she never did. She was 100 pounds overweight to begin with. I met her 12 years later, and she was still 100 pounds overweight. And that's on raw fruits and vegetables, raw nuts and seeds. 100 pounds overweight, all 12 years. Interesting, right? As soon as we got together, we did some training. I showed her the 4 principles, really how to apply them, how to get clear and complete with past issues, how to reinvent herself, and how to drink a good, clean water. She was drinking distilled water at the time. And I said, that's a dead water. It's not structured, and it's acidic. And she was very acidic. Okay. So we changed it to pure alkaline structured energized water. We got into the breath work. We got into cellular type exercising, and we got into changing her raw food vegan lifestyle to raw living food, learning how to soak those seeds and how to germinate them, and how to make foods with them, how to take whatever nuts and seeds did not germinate, we learned how to culturize them and use Life Biotic to culturize it. All we did, we just soak them the night before, we blended it into a cream, we put Life Biotic in there, let it sit for 4 or 5 hours, it turns into nutseed yogurt or whatever, and we made dressings, smoothies, soups, sauces, with whatever. And a year later, following these 4 principles, and also she took enzymes with her food because she was very enzyme deficient to begin with. And remember when I said earlier that raw vegan food is running 30 to 80% enzyme and mineral deficiencies. Raw vegan food, raw organic fruits and vegetables are running 30 to 80% enzyme deficient. That's why I take Livezyme. That's why I take Livezyme with my meals. I've been doing that for like 50 years. Why? Because I'm taking those powerful plant-based full spectrum highly active enzymes with no fillers. I'm taking them to compensate for the enzyme deficiency in the food itself, to help maximize my ability to digest that food so I can absorb and get more nutritional value from that food and metabolize it and convert it into energy. Build muscle, hair, skin, and bones, make more enzymes and hormones in my body, maintain what they call cellular integrity. If you have cellular integrity, you have core energy. You got youth, you got vitality, you got energy, you got it going on. The reason I take a superfood complex that I want to create and put a label on it and make it available to the world, because the superfood complex that I've been using for years and years and years, it's extremely high in vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and antioxidants and chlorophyll. Very high. Super high. Everybody's going to want it. It doesn't look good, doesn't smell good, doesn't taste good, but it's great and it works. You know what I mean? But everybody's going to want it once I get it together and, put a label on it and make it available to the world. I've been making it myself for many, many years. But I'm just saying that we as a people are falling apart because we just don't know any better. We just don't know how to do it, But that lady, I'm telling you about, she got rid of the 100 pounds in a year, no sag, no flap, looking great. All lean, clean, serene, That's what we want, right? We want to be lean, clean, serene. We want to be radiant. We want to be strong. We want to be vibrant. We want to have abundance of energy and good strength. I think that's what we want as a people, right? Well, That's what I've been experiencing for 53 years. And that's what I want for everybody on the planet across the board. Everybody, like every single person on this planet, no matter who they are, that they can learn how to cleanse, heal, regenerate themselves and actually enjoy a really wonderful, healthy, vibrant life with abundance of energy. It's my humble opinion that if we could all learn these 4 principles and apply them and put them into practice, we can actually experience what I'm talking about. And you know what's interesting about it is when I used to live the other way, I remember used to being a lot more aggressive back then, but I noticed that when I changed and I started cleansing my bowels and cleansing my organs and glands and doing all this extensive fastings and colonics, I saw all these worms and black evil stuff come out of my body for months. But when I got all that cleaned out of my system, wow, the way I felt was amazing. But that's why after seeing all this crud come out of my body over months and then healing and getting well and feeling amazing, I felt better than I ever felt in my entire life. That's why you can't offer me $1 billion to eat a plate of cooked food, even if it's vegan. You can't even offer me $50 billion to eat a plate of cooked food, even if it's plant-based.
And
Why?
so
Why?
like
Because
the
it's
last,
dead. It's dead. There's no life in it. So if it's not going to honor my body, because that's why I stay inside this game of life in this way, is because out of love, out of respect, and out of honor, out of appreciation for this wonderful life that I've been blessed with and given, like all of us have, that's why I take in life to beget life. You know what I mean? But if it's
and
dead,
so
forget it. I'm not
in the past
interested.
like 53 years, you haven't had any cooked food, like not even like a potato or something?
That's a great question again. So after I got out of the Air Force in 1974, every once in a while I come to visit family in Southern California, in Orange County, California, where I was raised. And my mom and dad said, there is no way you can live on plant-based, raw living food. You have to eat something cooked. Please eat something cooked to make us feel better, because you're going to die if you only eat plant-based, organic, raw living foods like what you've been doing. You're going to die. You cannot live this way. You have to have something cooked. Please, we beg of you to eat something cooked. Make us feel better. That will make us feel better, because we already know you cannot do this. So back then, after I was all cleaned up and healed, I eat about, for the holiday, I would eat a little bit of cooked food to appease them, not because I needed to or wanted to, but I did at first. And I noticed the next day when I woke up, I didn't feel as well as I normally did. And I noticed it. And so after several days of doing that, and it was just a little bit of cooked food. It was all plant-based, but it was just a little bit of cooked food, not very much. But the thing is that after I did that a few holidays like that, and I came home, I realized I didn't feel my best. So I went ahead and did some fasting, some cleansing, some flushing, my whole system, and then got back on my raw living foods and everything. And then the holiday would come up again. So it happened a few times like that. And so what happened after that is I called up ahead of time before the next holiday come, and I said, Mom and Dad, I want you to know going in, if I come down there to visit you for the holidays, I'm going to only do it on one condition. I've been living on plant-based, organic, raw living foods all this time successfully. I conquered all my sicknesses and diseases. I've been feeling amazing, and I have great energy, great strength, feel better than I ever have, and I'm going to keep it that way. So I'm not interested in compromising anymore for you or anybody else, for that matter. So because I have so much love and respect and honor and appreciation for my life, and God showed me this, He taught me this, and I'm doing because He taught me this, and I promised I would. So I want to keep my word, and also out of love and respect and appreciation for my life, I want to live this way, choose to live this way. and I don't choose to compromise it anymore. So when I come down to visit, if you leave me be and just be comfortable allowing me to do my juicing and preparing raw living foods and soaking seeds and germinating seeds and soaking them and all that, if you don't mind me doing that, I'm going to do it 100%. But if that bothers you, and if that's going to offend you in any way, then I'm not going to come down there and visit you physically, but I'll just come down and visit you spiritually. I'll just come down and visit you in spirit, okay? So now when I'm down there, whatever you eat and drink, that's your business. That's up to you. That's your prerogative. I don't say anything. I don't judge you in any way, shape, or form about it. I just let you do whatever you want to do. You don't want to listen to what I have to say? That's okay. I'm good with that. But I love coming down, visiting, and hanging out with the family. But if you're able to accept me and respect me as I do for myself, okay, great. But if not, and if that's going to trouble you, and if that's going to offend you in any way, then I'll just come and visit in spirit. So what would you like me to do, Mom and Dad? You know what they said? They said, no, 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 no. We're sorry. You come down and visit. We want to see you. I said, all right. So I came down and visited and did my thing, and they never bothered me once again, ever again, ever. And nobody else has either. So if I visit with family or friends or anything, and they're eating whatever they're eating, I don't judge them. I don't make them wrong or anything. And I don't tell them what they should eat or not eat or anything. I don't say anything. I just let them be whatever they want to be, you know?
Yeah.
If people want to know what I'm doing, they can ask. But I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, when to do, and how to do. And I'm not going to tell anybody what they should do or be or think or talk or eat or anything like that. I'm not about that. Because I love and appreciate everything.
Beautiful.
So wherever they're at, it's all good with me, you know? But by example, I notice that some people are very inspired by what I'm doing, and they want to do what I'm doing. And you know what's funny? I'll tell you something real funny. When I got out of the Air Force, I tried to pass this on to all family and friends for years. Well, I mean, I did it for 2 years. I mean, I tried to pass it on to family and friends for 2 years. And after 2 years, nobody listened to me. Everybody rejected it. Nobody was interested, and everybody blew me off, except my baby sister. She's the only one that saw it, got it, and did it. And since then, I mean, all my family, my friends, and in Orange County, man, they all blew me off, right? And they thought I was half crazy back then. But here's the interesting thing: my baby sister caught it, and she did it. She's been living like me for years and years. But what's funny about it is, since then, she got married and had 5 kids. Now she's got 18 grandkids, 1 grandkid. And people look at her today, they think she's 30, 31, 32 maybe, and she's 61 years of age, for real. And everything I can do physically, she can do it too. In the future,
Wow.
I want to see if I can get her to, I want to record her, do an interview with her, and share that recording to the world. Because I feel that all the women in the world, if they see her and see what she can do, I think they're going to be inspired by her. And I think that they're going to gravitate to this lifestyle just because of her. Just the way she looks. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. And actually, Lou, I would love for you to have a podcast. Maybe we can have a talk with your team about that. But I would love to see you like in discussions with certain people as a parenthesis. And I'd love to share some reflection on what you shared because, I love that the first 2 years you try to convince people. I think it's very common when people have some kind of big change in their life, whether it's a spiritual awakening or healing. And I had the same 7 years ago when I had my spiritual awakening. I bought maybe 60 or 70. It was the power of Noah by Eckhart Tolle at the time that I was giving to all my friends and family. And then I've learned to let go a little bit of the expectation to change people, also to just accept the perfection of what is. But also some other reflections is, first it takes work also to eat like you do, right? Because there's a lot of prep, a lot of time, and that takes commitment itself. And then you were ready to be so committed that you would let go if they couldn't accept you of seeing your family in the physical, which is also also a really powerful commitment. And often, like, I can speak for myself also, I'm not as fully committed to that, I would say, but I already see it is challenging. It is challenging with family. It is challenging with potential like girlfriends or partners. And so I admire that you're also so like, okay, that's how it is, and we need people to do it this way. Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny about it is after 2 years went by, I went on water for several days and I asked God about the situation. And I was told to go silent and just move away and just live it. Just live it. And when time comes, you'll be led to break that silence. And so I went silent for 12 years because of this. So I moved away to Washington State. At my job, I didn't have to talk. And then when I came home, I got 10 acres of property and I had a garden, an orchard, and I lived off the land. So when I came home, I just worked in the garden, you know. So I didn't really ever talk about the four principles anymore, about all this anymore. I left it be. And so I just lived it. And I kept studying, I kept researching, learning, experimenting, creating all kinds of different recipes and just playing with it, you know, mastering the breath work, getting more into doing stretches and breath work and movements and different things. And yeah, it was actually quite a, you know, pretty amazing experience living off the land. I even climbed I don't think I ever told this to anybody before, you know, like in this way, but I even tied a thick rope from from one tree to another, and I had it about 3 feet above the ground, and it was real tight. And I used to walk it back and forth on the rope, and also had one on top, like really high. So I would climb up the rope about 20 feet, and then I'd walk with my hands. I would take the rope and walk like this, you know, and go across back and forth on that too. I just did that for fun. But I have to admit, it taught me how to balance myself, but also taught me how my body to get strong, just climbing the rope 20 feet up in the air and then climbing across from one tree to another on a rope, you know, like this. It was a
Oh.
pretty interesting. I did it every day while I was living off the land, and I spent a lot of time quiet, you know, and just doing things like that. Besides working in the garden and the orchard, but for fun, I played on the rope with the rope and did things like that.
Mm.
But
Oh.
but anyway, what's interesting about it is 12 years later, 1988, I was led to break silence and start sharing these four principles of life. And I started in 1988 with one person, then two and three, and all of a sudden it just took off. And before I knew it, people started having me do little talks for 5, 10 people at a time in their homes. But then it went to 20, 30 people at a time in their homes. But then it got so big that it went to 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people at a time in different parts of the world. And people would fly me here, fly me there, you know, to do these talks because they wanted to know more about this and pass it on to their family and friends. You know, because of this, I've seen people, I'm not going to name any diseases of any kind, but if you could just imagine any kind of sickness or disease people have, I've when people learn these four principles and how to apply them and put them to practice, they have dissolved them and end up with a great life like I've been able to experience. So it's been a wonderful journey, you know. So
Yeah.
so a few years back, I guess I don't know, what was it? I don't know, maybe 12 years ago, 13 years ago, whatever it was. I asked God to help me form a company that will go global, be founded on the four principles, and provide the best of the best, most purest, greatest, no filler enzymes, full spectrum, highly active enzymes, and make it for the best possible, superior price possible for the people worldwide, including probiotics and herbs and all that, and make it available for the world. And but I said this time, let me be the president, co-founder, creator, guardian of it, so I can protect the integrity and the quality of everything that we do, to keep it tight and right and wholesome world for the sake of humanity. And you know what? It happened. It actually happened. Somebody asked me to help them with their wife, and she got well. You know, she had this incredible experience, and her you know, he was kind of a well-to-do kind of guy, and so he helped do the funding necessary to create Paradigm and take it global. And we've been tracking over, I don't know, maybe over 10 years for sure anyway. And So this is 2025. Man, it's already been maybe 12 years already. It's amazing how well it's going, but it's just been growing and evolving, and more people are getting better. But one thing I've noticed across the board in my travels and working with people all over the world for many years, I've noticed one common denominator. This is just like a common thing happening with all people that have any kind of sickness or disease. I noticed this interesting thing. They all have poor digestion going on. They're not digesting properly. They're not assimilating properly, metabolizing properly, or eliminating the waste from their body efficiently and powerfully properly. And that's really important. If you want to be really healthy and feel great and never get sick and have a good life, you must digest well. From a physical perspective, you must digest your food really, really well so you can assimilate it, absorb it, and then metabolize it and convert it into energy and everything else, and eliminate the waste from the body and run efficient. If you can do that consistently, successfully, you have a chance to turn things around for yourself and have a great life. From a physical perspective, this is next to, I like to say, getting more connected with God himself, yes, but also learning how to breathe and in a more powerful way, and how to drink a good, clean water to hydrate your body, and also learn how to alkalinize your body, because most people are running acidic. I don't know if you know this or not, but everybody that eats all this animal protein, cooked food, pastas, bread, cereals, Kool-Aid, soda pop, coffee, wine, beer, liquor, all that, it's acidic. It's acidic. And most people out there are running acidic and they don't even know it. And when they're acidic, it's created an environment for parasites and bacteria to live in. And it thrives, it proliferates in the body, and it takes over. And then people wonder why they have all this sickness and diseases going on. When they prove scientifically, they've proven this. If you can oxygenate, hydrate, and alkalinize your body, it gives you a chance to create an environment in your body to heal. Because if it's not that happening, you don't heal, It's also been proven scientifically that if you're eating anything dead and put it inside your body will use more of its own enzymes from the pancreas to digest that food more than it remanufactures, which depletes the enzyme potential in your body. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that if you're going to eat any cooked food, it would be a good idea for you to take Lyzyme with those meals. Most people would take around 4 or 5 with each meal. But in my case, I eat nothing cooked. You can't even pay me to eat it. But I take Lyzymes anyway. Why? Because even organic foods running 30 to 80% enzyme deficient. But to get those extra minerals and vitamins and all that, besides a whole food complex that I'll be putting out in the future, I do fresh juices. That's why I like to drink that lemon ginger blast. It's so rich in vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients because it's so many different plants highly concentrated into a quart. If you saw how I do it, you'd be blown away. If you saw the way I do juicing and all the stuff I put through there and extract all the plants and all that. But it's a way how to get those extra vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and antioxidants and chlorophyll and enzymes your body needs to sustain itself. It's hard to do it just on eating raw foods today. Didn't you ask a question about some of these people that get into raw foods and they're kind of falling apart? Well,
what are they missing? So that's
part of it is they need to take some powerful enzymes like Lyzyme to help them digest that food even better. So a lot of people that get into raw foods, usually they have a history of eating cooked foods for quite a few years already. And there's a stuff called mucoid plaque that builds up in the intestinal tract, right? Mucoid plaque is a very serious condition that people have out there, but they don't know it. If you want to know if you're healthy or not healthy, I don't generally say this out in the open like this, but I'm going to say it. Take it for what it's worth. If you want to know if you're healthy, you should easily be able to go 5 days on water and not have headaches or nausea or dizziness or starve or, feel anything. You should just fly right through it like no big deal. If you go on water for 5 days and feel great and have energy and fly right through it with no hiccups, you're probably running pretty healthy. But if you have headaches or nausea or dizziness or break out of the skin or get real lethargic and you get weak and all that, then you have some toxins in your body that need to be released and processed out of your body. And so I went 10 days working full time, 10 days just on water. And I was working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I went 10 days and flew right through it like no big deal. But I'm saying 5 days for people because most people can't even make it to 5 days just on straight water. When I did 100 days on juice and water to clean my body and heal my body, and then I followed it with a 40-day water fast after that, by that time, 6 months, I was 6 months into it. By that time, 6 months later, the tumor was gone, acne, asthma, pain in my joints, all these digestive issues, gone, like never came back in 53 years. So that's why I like to do occasional fastings, intermittent fastings included periodically, because it's very helpful. Fasting is very powerful if you know what you're doing, So, but again, remember that we have a lot of cleansing to do in our lives, because when people try to go into raw foods, it doesn't work for them. It's because they don't know what they're doing yet. They haven't learned how to clean the body, how to flush it out, and they haven't learned how to digest properly or absorb properly and metabolize properly. And also, when they get into the raw food lifestyle, most of them haven't learned how to really soak, germinate their seeds, or how to pre-digest them by culturizing them and making them enzyme activated and pre-digested. So it's very easy to digest and absorb and metabolize. And I like to encourage people that if they're going to get into the raw food lifestyle, get into some juicing, because that's a way how to easily digest and absorb the nutrition that's in there into the cells of the body. You know what I mean? It can allow you to cleanse, but also feed you at the same time.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks, Lou. And when I do a podcast with someone, if for people on YouTube, they can see I take notes like this. And as you speak, I'm writing down, I have follow-up questions on juicing, on fasting, on the type of water, on breathayanism, on so many things, mucoid plaques, because I know it's also a debate in the community. But also, no, we're already almost an hour and a half in. So in respect for your time, we're going to start wrapping it up, and maybe we'll have another episode. I mean, I could be with you for like 6 hours if we could, But I also appreciate that you broke your silence and that you're sharing this wisdom. I'm doing this podcast called The Light Leaders, and I encourage in general people who want to raise the consciousness of our planet to go out and share the message, because I believe for a lot of us that's part of our mission on Earth. So that's amazing that you did that, and took a lot of your time to share freely with people. And I would like to ask people, because you mentioned like now sharing to thousands of people. I would hope this episode goes like tens of thousands of views on YouTube, and that would really help if the people who watch like, comment, and share this video, of course, because that's also how people can spread the message. And also to wrap it up a little bit about what maybe the usual raw foodists are missing. I understand it was like a lot of some of those seeds and nuts that you germinate and activate. Also the enzymes, so there'll be a link in the description. I haven't tried the enzymes yet, but I would love to try it. On a personal note, I'm pretty happy about my high fruit, high raw vegan diet I've had for the past 4 years. But I'm not like, I think there's a next level. Like I get a little bloated sometimes. I feel I could have more strength, more energy sometimes. So it might be
By the way, I meant to ask
something
you,
I could use to go to the next level too. Mm-hmm.
I meant to ask you, what's your age right now?
I'm 35.
What's your age? 35.
35.
I had somebody that was doing 80% fruit and the rest with a little bit of nuts and seeds, a little avocado, whatever, But majority 80% fruit, and they've been doing it at least 10 years already, and they were about 30. So my friend was with us. I got introduced to him. My friend said, Lou, would you grab that pipe and do some leg lifts? So I did 20 leg lifts, just like that. And what's funny about it is he's about 30 and he's a fitness trainer and he's very strong, very muscular, looks great. And the most he could do was 10 to my 20. And I'm years like older chronologically than him, but I haven't worked out for 55 years since high school. And he was wondering, what's the difference between what I'm doing and what he's doing? I'm taking enzymes every time I eat meals. I do enjoy fruits and vegetables. I'm not going to say 80%, but I do enjoy plenty of fruit. But I have a lot of greens, a lot of herbs in my makeup, and I do have maybe a few cups of the sprouted seeds, or what do you call it, yogurt, the nuts seed yogurts that I make smoothies, dressings, soups with it, right? But I maintain a real lean, wiry, but strong physical body, right? But what's amazing is the energy, the strength that I carry. It's unusual. So you might look into it for the future. But if I was going to say two things that you might add besides the four principles, because I'm going to always encourage people to live on a plant-based, organic, raw living foods. I mean, I do certified organic, raw living foods, right? But soak the seeds, germinate the seeds, learn how to make nut seed yogurts, have a cup or two a day, and drink plenty of good, clean water. Drink the fresh juices, But if there's going to be two products that I would definitely encourage people to at least begin with, it would be Lysozymes with the meals. And so most people take around 4 or 5 with each meal. Heck, I take 10 with each meal. They don't hurt you any. They're just made out of plants, but they're highly concentrated and there's no fillers in them. And we're using whole food cofactors to make them, not synthetic cofactors. So it makes them superior, next to none. But above and beyond that, I would say probably Life Biotic, which is a very powerful probiotic. It's called Life Biotic. We spell life different, L-I-Y-F. It means life in your food. Mm-hmm. So remember, no matter who we are, next to having God in our life, but also thinking positively and constructively and creatively, and love this life, appreciate this life, respect this life, be grateful for this life, and treat it at best, right? Put the life in, get the life out. But at the same time, let's take a little time each day to stretch, breathe, slow and deep, rhythmically kind of thing, right? And as far as the food thing, I mean, fresh live foods, certified organic at best. If you want to do it even beyond that, get a piece of land, build the soil, make it rich, and learn how to grow your own food on your own, and do that. That's next level up, right? But if you're going to do two things from Pyridine, Lysozyme, and Life Biotic, so you can take a spoon at night before you go to bed, but you can also make nut seed yogurts with it and culturize it and pre-digest it to make it easy and simple for your body to digest and absorb it and metabolize it and convert it into true energy. I want everybody to have the good life we all deserve to have. I know it takes quite a bit of commitment and dedication to prepare foods and do juicing and things like that. I mean, I get it. I understand. You're right. It does. It does. But when I said I want to live and I want to get well and stay well, and I want to create those 7 healing centers into the future in order to serve people from a global perspective, I really meant that. And so in order to do that, when I learned to eat certified organic raw living foods and 100% to get the most results and get the best life out of it, so I could sustain and maintain a good, healthy life to fulfill my purpose. So I'm driven by that. I don't just eat this way or think or be this way out of love and respect only and appreciation for my own life, but I'm also driven to be my best, to do my best, so that I can also be in a position to serve humanity with these teachings besides myself, but spread it, make it available to the rest of the world, so we can one day get to that point where we can actually do this at a broad scale. I mean, I'm talking about worldwide. And I have that vision that one day we can all learn to love one another and to really appreciate, and support one another, and to really like respect and appreciate one another, and remind one another how beautiful, brilliant, and genius beings we are, and live a peaceful, harmonious life once again, because that's what it was intended. So you can see I'm driven like that. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Lou.
Yes.
I love for sharing your passion, your dedication, your emotion. This is this is very healing.
Yes. These are tears of love and gratitude and appreciation for everyone. Yes.
Tears of love, beautiful. Yeah.
I pray that those who are listening to this conversation really have the ears to hear and the eyes to see through the truth behind what we're talking about today.
I feel so expanded by your vision and by your share of that like a new earth full of vibrant people, full of energy, obviously that treats animals differently and each other also, and nature. And I believe what we put in our bodies obviously is gonna transpire through our actions. And so when I hear you and I hear that vision, it's something I can really be behind. And I'm sure a lot of the people who are watching this are like, yes, that's something we can be behind. And I know it's like the enzymes are part of it. So I said I put the link. I know you have your course coming. Tell me if I can help with anything with the course also, because I want to do it. I know a lot of people want to do that. And the centers, of course, like it's something that's also very dear to my heart, is to create those newest communities, those places where we live more in harmony with each other, with ourselves, with nature, with animals, and they're coming. There's we're many having similar visions, and so that's part of what I'm aiming to do with this podcast, is to spread the word and get people to connect, so we can co-create that common vision. Yeah. So wow. So feels like a real blessing to have had you on this podcast, and I would like to open it up for a last share from you, and finish the recording then. And thank you, and thank everyone who stayed with us after an hour and 40 minutes now for something that feels very special.
Well, thank you for making it all possible for the sake of everyone. Thank you for that. So until next time. And may all that are hearing this conversation, may all of you be blessed with the good life that we all deserve to have. Learn all you can and do the best you can each day, and just keep evolving into it at your best. And I look forward to maybe one day meeting you, whoever you may be. And thanks again. So to the bright future, I say, right?
To the bright future of 300 or 400 years, we shall see. Thank you, Lou, and thank you, everyone. Much love.
Thank you. Love you.